the longer this thing goes, the offseason that is, the closer we get to the season, the less comfortable I feel not having South Carolina in my college football playoff. This is how it feels to me. You ever break up with somebody and you actually end up feeling worse for being the one that broke up with them than they feel? Like, we had South Carolina since the month of November as a college football playoff team. Yes, November last year. I was beating the drum even after the national title game finished. Went back to the hotel, recorded our show for the following morning. It was like 3, 4 a.m. I was like, yep, South Carolina right now, I'd view them as a playoff team. And we said that, and we said that, and we said that. Then it got to prediction day, and I was like, man, they do lose a Kyle Kennard. They do lose a Rocket Sanders. They really popped last year. Can they do it again? I got cold feet. Got at the top of the high dive, couldn't jump, and I was just like, South Carolina, it's not you, it's me. I hate this for us. I hate this for myself. Just felt bad emotionally. And the South Carolina fans all responded like, hey, 9-3, we'd be happy with that. 9-3 would be a good year. We're not upset for you picking us 9-3, JD. You're like, we're good here. And I was like, I know, but I said it all year long. I said it all offseason long. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now with South Carolina. But again, the longer I look at it, the concerns that I would have with South Carolina, as I just mentioned, are the supporting cast pieces around your centerpieces on the offensive and defensive side. Like, how much help does Lenora Sellers actually get here in 2025 from this receiving core with his brother, Jaden Sellers, with Nicholas Harbor, who's a phenomenal track athlete, good receiver, starting to round the corner there, Mazio Bennett, a lot of pieces there, right? Dylan Stewart, how much help does he have on the opposite side from the defensive line? Because last year, I think he benefited a lot from Kyle Kennard getting a double team, or Dylan Stewart getting a double team, then Kyle Kennard getting home. You couldn't block both guys. I'm going to start sweating pretty profusely if Rahsul Faison, the running back transfer from Utah State, is deemed eligible. Because those that have kept up with that situation since he got to South Carolina know what I'm talking about. You talk to different people and hear different things as to if he will or will not be eligible for this upcoming season. No update at the time of us recording this, but if he's eligible, he is going to be such a dynamic addition to that offense. And as good as Rocket Sanders was last year, especially in specific games, like the A&M game comes to mind for me, where he was a great offsetting piece for Lenora Sellers, Rahsul Faison as a receiving threat and just as a runner with the different kind of, I think, genre he runs the football with, a little bit more of a slasher, maybe a little bit more dynamic in space. I think that backfield for South Carolina with Sellers and Faison will be even better than it was a year ago. And if the backfield's elevated, then the second and third level of defense have to give more attention to the offense in that way. So then Nicholas Harbor's job is easier. So then all those guys already mentioned before, their job is easier. So then you should score a lot of points. And then we talk about the defense. Okay, so the offense, you talk about that side of it. If Faison's eligible, that's a massive change agent to me as to what they could be. But the defense, you sit with it and you're like, yes, you lost Kennard. Yes, you lost Nick Eman-Wari. It doesn't make a lot of sense to say that South Carolina's defense is going to be in a good enough spot to make the college football playoff as we sit here right now in the month of August. But then you start to sit with it longer and you're like, man, when has it ever really made a lot of sense for South Carolina preseason to go be a team to go win 9 games last year? BetMGM last year had South Carolina over-under win total 5.5. Won 9 games. It wasn't making sense for us a year ago to pick South Carolina to even make a bowl game. Like, that was a conversation to be had. First-year starting quarterback and Lenora Sellers, Shane Beamer kind of up and down. They finished 2022 really hot and then kind of fell off the wagon. I think the trend right now for South Carolina going into 2025 is more reliable than the trend you had from 2022 going into 2023. Because in 2022, remember where you were if you're a South Carolina fan. You finished the year with 2 top 10 wins, and it was awesome. You beat Tennessee, you beat Clemson. Everyone's buying South Carolina stock that's going out of style. But those 2 games felt like such a massive just like pop from South Carolina in the context of that season going to next season. Not that South Carolina didn't have a good year that year leading into those games, but like those games were massively different sample sizes in 2022 than what you got from the Gamecocks the entirety of that season. That's how it felt to me. Like, if you're tracking it on a chart, South Carolina was kind of going like this, pretty steady, pops up a ton in those last 2 games, and then fell back to earth quite a bit in 2023, and it wasn't a great year. 2024 to me, though, with South Carolina, going back to this whole chart, it was just kind of a steady trend upward. Start the year with Old Dominion, not great. LSU game, should have finished that game with a win should the Northern Stellars stay healthy. It is what it is. And just over the course of the season got better and better and better to the point where they finished the season 9-3, and you're like, South Carolina has a very valid case to be a college football playoff team. That's what we were saying at the end of last year. So to get back to my point here, the trend of South Carolina from this year to this upcoming season, last year to this upcoming season, is much more reliable to me. It wouldn't take something otherworldly for me to see South Carolina finding themselves in the college football playoff. Yeah, there's a lot you can't solve for right now on the defensive side of the football. Nobody had Kyle Kennard this time last year as the Bronco Nagurski Award winner preseason. Nobody was saying that. Good player, good get for them via the portal from Georgia Tech a year ago, but nobody was saying, hey, that dude is going to change the complexion of the defense. That guy and a true freshman in Dylan Stewart. Nobody said that. So all I'm trying to account for here in this conversation without backtracking my take is do not be surprised in the slightest if once again everything around South Carolina preseason to what they are postseason just doesn't make sense. It's college football. More specifically, it's South Carolina with Shane Beamer as their head coach. It doesn't make sense all the time. But you watch the games, you watch their progress, you watch different guys step up that we're not even talking about right now outside of Sellers and Stewart, and South Carolina, I think, could very well find themselves in the college football playoff. Again, I haven't predicted it. I'm not going to sit here and say I've claimed it for the better part of the last few months because I haven't. But if it happens, it'll be very bittersweet. I'll be very happy for the Northern Stellars. I'll be very happy for Shane Beamer, and I'll be very selfishly just like disgusted with myself internally for not seeing that one through. So I do not have South Carolina in my playoff, but as the season gets closer, I don't feel great about it.